angels, welcome to my channel, and if you're new here, I would love it if you joined the family and press that little subscribe button. On my channel, expect to see videos on health and wellness, veganism, and topics related to the vegan community, all about manifesting the life that you want and really just becoming in touch with yourself. And together, let's be the happiest and best versions of ourselves that we can be. So I'm at the park right now that's right down the street from my house, and I just walked here and I'm walking around to find a good spot to lay out my yoga mat and just do some yoga while it's getting later in the day and kind of just relax outside a little bit and read a little bit of a book. And the reason I'm making this video is because I know what a lot of people might think, especially about people that they think have all the answers and just have everything in their life sorted out. And one of the biggest questions I see around the internet all the time is, how do you have the motivation to do that? And the simple answer for me is that I don't. I'm literally forcing myself to walk to the park and do yoga right now. And it took a lot of forcing for me to do, but I just convinced myself that it's good for me, and I really should. In July, I spent all month, almost every day, doing yoga with an instructor, and the second July ended and the class ended, I hardly did zero yoga for the longest time, despite maybe once a week, and then I slowly started getting back into it to the point where now it's kind of like once or twice a week, but really not all that often, which is unfortunate because although I wasn't expecting to get anything out of doing yoga other than a little bit of relaxation, it helped me in so many ways that I'll explain in another video. But it actually, a lot of great benefits really came forth, I would say about 2 weeks into the practice, that I had no idea was going to happen. And it's unfortunate that I didn't establish the habit enough to where it stuck with me to the point where I could just do yoga multiple days of the week. So I kind of fell out of that habit and fell out of that routine, and my body just went back to doing what it always does, which is just going on about my day-to-day life. So the reason that I'm making this video is because I'm not exactly sure what it's going to take to push myself to recreate this habit again until I'm consistently doing yoga for at least 3 or 4 times a week. So as I force myself to do it over the course of the next few weeks, my goal is to give you guys the best tips that I have as far as motivation and what is working and what might really help you guys push yourself to get to the point that you want to be, but you aren't quite there yet. We'll see what I end up doing, if I end up doing anything, but I'm going to go find a spot to lay out my mat, and I'll touch back later. So I think I'm going to turn this into a series called Creating Habits, and in each video I'll give you guys another tip or two on what's really been helping move me along in creating habits these days. The journey has only just begun, but lately I have been thinking a lot about how I can make and create sustainable habits that are really going to benefit me in the long run. And so I wrote a couple of ideas down, and the first tip, and it's honestly such an important tip because I thought of it on my walk and because I was doing it. That's exactly what I was doing. And it's don't overdraw it. And excuse me if I look down at my phone to see exactly what I wrote down. So basically what this means is that any self-care practice that you decide to do or want to start implementing in your life, don't overdraw it. It doesn't have to be this long, complicated, and drawn-out process. And I feel like a lot of times, especially when we see influencers on Instagram and YouTube and everything, it seems like they have everything figured out. And sometimes we think to ourselves, well, I can never do that, or I don't have time for that, etc., etc. But if you want to start creating habits, then just don't overdo it. Don't start by doing the most. In fact, you should never do that anyways. You should work your way up. You should start small and work your way up. You want to walk more? Maybe you want to go on a 10-minute walk once an hour. Maybe you don't even want to do that. Maybe you want to go on a 10-minute walk every 2 hours. Whatever suits you best. Keep it short and sweet. And right along this point, I want to give you one more helpful tip that's really, really, really benefited me. And that's to not think about the long-term goal in the moment. Don't get me wrong. I love journaling. I don't do it all the time or as frequently as I probably should, but I do love journaling, and I encourage picturing your life as if everything you want has already happened and really manifesting your dream life. But in the moment of whatever it is that you're doing that's going to help you in a long run, don't think about 10 years from now and this is where you want to be. Let me give you an example, because I feel like that might be misinterpreted and I really don't want it to be. When I started taking better care of my skin, for example, and using only natural products on my face, I didn't go into it with the mind of, I want my skin to be all nice and luscious and moisturized. That was my end goal, but every time that I washed my face, it was just a small step in the direction of, I want my skin to feel good tonight. I want to go to bed refreshed tonight. So even though in a long run I did want to have better skin, every night when I would do my skincare routine, it would be because I wanted to feel the best that I could that night. Does that make sense? Sometimes we get way too caught up in what possibly could be, and that's what kind of sets us back because we're not already there yet. Let me give you one more example. And this was a very low point in my life, I would say. Every single day, I would wake up and look in my bathroom mirror to see if there was changes in my body. I knew that my ultimate goal was to have the body that I was most comfortable in and most happiest in, or see if there was changes in my body. I knew that my ultimate goal was to have the body that I was most comfortable in and most happiest in, or the most happy in. But every single day, I would look in the mirror and look for changes. I didn't even focus on how I felt that day because all that mattered was the physical appearance at the time. Fast forward to today, I rarely look at myself in the mirror, maybe to check an outfit, or maybe once a month or once every 2 weeks just to kind of see where I'm at. But let me tell you that before I do that, I think to myself in my head, how am I feeling today? Because I don't want my physical appearance to dictate how I'm going to be feeling for that day. So I already pre-established that beforehand. So if I'm feeling really good that day, or I had just drinking a green smoothie or a juice, or I just woke up in a great mood and my body feels good, I take a note of that. And then I will proceed to look at myself in the mirror. Because whatever I see in that moment, it's irrelevant, because what's inside of you is so much more important anyways. Does that make sense as well? I hope it does. And if you guys need more clarification on what I mean, I would love to kind of elaborate on my thoughts a little bit. But this is something that I see all the time. So even if your ultimate goal is to get to point A or point B or wherever you are, every day I want you to focus on feeling the best that you can for that day. If you want to clear up your acne and you start implementing a self-care practice in which you want to wash your face and really get all the dirt out every night, do it because that night you want to feel amazing when you go to sleep. You want to touch your face to the cushion and have it feel great. You don't want to feel all clogged and dirty. The next morning you'll wake up feeling much better, and you'll know that you're one step closer without having to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, why am I not here yet? I have my vision in my head, why am I not here yet? So that would be my biggest tip today. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably one of the most important tips that I could give you in general. I think it's so funny how we think of things as we're thinking of things. Does that make sense? I don't know if that did. But for example, I'm not very comfortable being on camera yet. I'm learning, but I'm not quite there yet. So a lot of times I feel like I stutter, or I can't think of exactly what I want to say. But now that I'm actually getting into it and there's really no pressure, I'm thinking of the things that I already know and the things that I can already tackle because I know them. Whereas earlier today when I was writing down video ideas, I couldn't think of what I knew best. And I was thinking of things that I would like to make a video on, but then I was like, I don't know enough about that to do that. But now that I'm just talking to you guys, at least that's what it seems like from my end, I'm thinking about the things that are my strengths, and that really truly has become one of them. Even though I'm not perfect at it, I know that it will benefit somebody. And that's about all I had to say today, guys. I am going to keep this series going about creating habits, positive mindset, and really just loving your body in general. So this is video number 1, and if you like videos like this, please share it with somebody that you think it might be helpful, and let's create a chain reaction down in the comments. Let me know what you thought. What do you think a good part 2 might be? And I'll see you guys tomorrow or later on this week. Bye.